Welcome to the MetaMarine Podcast, where we talk all things from Warhammer 40k that have power armor. Keep all appendages inside the drop pod until it comes to a complete stop. It's time to rev your chainswords and beseech the Pantheon. Don't be a Tina. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the MetaMarine. I'm your host Max Tile, along with Nick Fuller and Thomas Bird. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Recovering better than you guys from our recent foray into a team tournament. So you can, I don't know,
Nick,
start
Nick and I are part of the illustrious group that has COVID from going there. So to whoever came to the event knowingly sick, you're the best person ever.
MVP.
Just can't thank you enough.
I think we're all, over COVID, but at the same time, you still go out in big public, still out there, get sick. So, I mean, hopefully you guys are feeling better and resting up. But a couple of our guys got it. We had like several teams, so several kind of people from different teams all got it. I was riding the same car, same in the house with these guys so far. So lucky I'm unscathed. So,
well, you said it now, so get the test ready.
Yeah, knock on wood, right?
So we're going to talk about the 8TC event, how it went, what did well. We're going to talk about part 2, Mark 2 of the Hot Lizard Drop.
Hot Lizard Drop. We got some updates. Woo! We made it better.
Yeah, it's better, it's stronger, it's hotter, and it's droppier. It's even more lizardy, if you can believe it. And then we'll talk about what we learned today. So I can tell you that what I learned at the event was Kyria Draxus. She's an Inquisitor. She's an Anti-Xenos Inquisitor. She's fantastic. I slept on her. She is one of those data sheets that you read the data sheet and you're like, okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, I get it. And then you forget about it. It wasn't until I saw her on the table and I went, wait a minute. Slow down. Go over that again. And it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I was on the receiving end of that a couple times.
Yeah, how good, man? Tell me all about it.
So let's start off with, she can attach, just like an Inquisitor, she can attach to any Imperial battle line unit.
So that's the trick, right? You're like, who wants to take battle line? Like, what armies are taking battle line? And then you were playing Custos, right? They have some good battle line guys.
They do. Everyone has battle line. They're terrible, but Custodes have really good battle line troops. They allow her to shoot twice, which is ridiculous. So to start off with, in the command phase, you roll a d6, and on a 2-up, the whole unit has 18-inch load up, basically. So you can't be targeted by range attacks outside of 18 inches. That's so good, especially for Custodes. That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get +1 to hit if you shoot something or fight something that isn't Chaos or Imperial. That is crazy good, too. I mean, in today's day and age, when you have, you still see Eldar, you still see Tal, you still see Dark Eldar. It's very useful. It's a very good ability. It's not make all break all, but it's not terrible. Her shooting, though. Oh my god, her shooting is where it's at. She's got an anti-infantry 4-up, 2 damage dev wound gun that's 18 inches assault.
Yeah, she does.
Holy mackerel, that's good.
Playing Tyranids all weekend, and every time I ran into her, she was like, oh, I can see your warrior unit. So let's go ahead and pick up like 4 of those guys for me real quick.
It's good.
It's spicy.
She has an indirect psychic attack, 18-inch indirect, that's sustained 2 and 2 damage also. It's strength 6.
That's the one that got me. It's like
6 shots. Like,
I'm safe, but my scouts are like behind the wall, and Marines don't have tons of units, and the scouts have a very specific role to play. Either they're trying to live late game and do scoring with jank, or they're trying to do some move blocking and all that stuff. And so you need those guys, and for them to just be like randomly shoot behind the wall. You're like, most of your indirect you're trying to manage, especially inside the teams. I got one little girl with an indirect guy. It's no big deal.
All of a sudden, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You have to go, hey, I rolled 2 6s, so take 8 saves real quick. And you go, whoa, wait a minute now, that's too many.
8 2 damage saves.
Yeah.
You're like, I mean, it's no AP, but like, still, you're like, you can cover and all the stuff, but like, I don't want to take that many saves on my guys. No.
Especially every time you're looking at a failed save as a dead guy. Anytime you're in that situation, it's like, sure, I got a 3-up or a 2-up save on it, but it's like, I'm going to roll a 1.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Now I have to go hunt this unit down because that happened more than once, a couple times. You're like 18-inch, lone op thing. It's not bad, but it's also like on the custodian guard. You're like, it's not casual to just go kill those guys. Obviously,
yeah. but every save you can make them take, make them take it.
Yeah.
So I played Custodes a couple times, and I saw her a lot. So I was just, that was really good. That's a really good character. I underestimated her. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, her shooting twice in that Custodes unit is just really bad good for me.
That's so good.
I do not appreciate that.
Yeah, just trying to think how like that translates into my Marine list or just Marines in general, like battle line, right? That's a big sticker. So you're like, you got two choices there: assault intercessors or regular intercessors. So like regular intercessors, you can do the whole 18-inch low knot, sit on the objective. You have a little bit of a shooting platform for just to hang out, or you can maybe kind of say assault intercessors, maybe Gladius or something, where you can advance and charge when it's go time. You can kind of like not necessarily need a ride. You can just be like, I run on this objective, hanging out, being hard to shoot at, and then 18 inches, get a little too close, assault, you can run up and charge. So yeah, it's interesting. So, is that enough juice out of her shooting to kind of pay for that cost?
She's about the same cost as an impulsor.
Really, 65 or something, right?
75.
She's pretty cheap.
Yeah, so it's kind of a
still cheaper.
Well, I don't hate it as an option. It's interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
Thomas, what did you learn?
I learned a couple of things. Nick and I were talking about one of those, so he may talk about the other one. But so big one, obviously we just played in teams and we were going through the NTL rules and trying to make sure the team was all prepped. And when I get to the tournament, not necessarily everyone knew the rules. So overhang. So we're talking about WTC rules. So we have to just be, let me caveat that with the asterisk, right? So not everyone uses those facts and stuff. So, but in there, but I think it makes sense just in a general play. Like if you're just playing regular games, you're playing at any event, these rules make a lot of sense. They're ruled that way in the WTC, but there's reasonings behind it, right? Because otherwise the game gets kind of sticky. Like what is the answer, right? It's hard to find it in the rules specifically. So the scenario is I have a monster, maybe with big wings, stick, a big sword sticking out. And I have a plane or a vehicle. Let's use a Eldar fire prism as a good example, right? It has a base, but clearly the model itself is much bigger than the base. The guns stick out. Now I have the GW plastic terrain base, the acrylic, rectangle, and there's some ruins on there. And I put both of these models next to it. How do I determine if that model is fully obscure? Is it the base? Is it the wings? Is it the sword? Like if they overhang onto the acrylic piece, but the base is outside of it, what do we do, right? Like that's the question. So we had to learn kind of the distinction. And there is a distinction for the purposes of obscuring. Monsters and vehicles are different. Vehicles, you basically take the downward projection of the vehicle. So if they have a piece that sticks out far, you just basically like look straight down on it. If it overhangs the plate, the floor, then it counts as being within. And then we know if you're within, you can be seen, but that means you can't see out, but you can be seen. But Magnus, Bellicor, some big guy, not a vehicle, so not a knight, but a monster. The wings don't count. So the sword, the wings, as long as the base, round base, is behind the obscuring piece, you're totally safe. Now, if that wing or sword sticks out all the way, peeks around a corner, or is exposed on the outside of the thing, then it can be seen, and they can use it to see, right? So, like if they could see, you could see that. They don't have any kind of special magic there, but like if a part just hanging over the wing, you don't look down from the wings like you do for vehicles. So
yeah, well, most monsters have like generally larger bases too, so it's a lot less controversial. So like some of the Eldar vehicles, especially, like hanging like 6 inches off their bases, and it's like you can be a little abusive with that sometimes. If you want, to be
it feels weird, right? Like, last thing you want to do is have an argument with your opponent, like they meant to be hidden or not, right? Like it's not a situation where like I'm trying to game it or anything. It's just really like I just want to be clear, like where do I need to position this guy so I can not be seen, right? And we don't have an argument later, right? So that's the kind of thing we had to kind of go over and learn the nuances of. But yeah, the other one was that charging one, right? So consolidate. You want to go through that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a matter of like if you are the order of operation, basically, right? So like if you can consolidate into an enemy unit, you have to do that if you want to move. So like even if you were in range of an objective marker and an enemy unit and you want to the second part of that sentence of consolidate is you can also go onto an objective marker, but you have to go towards the enemy unit first. So it restricts your movement, so you can't like spread out. Where like if you're here, you can't go two different directions, so you can't touch like an objective and a unit.
Yeah,
There's scenarios where it's possible to do both, but like if you are having to go the opposite direction to touch the unit, you have to do that.
Yeah, there were scenarios where, because the people were reading the words, it's pretty lengthy, that whole entry into the rule book, but they were kind of like, yeah, I can make engagement. I have to make engagement. Okay. But I can also choose which models to move. So I choose not to move them at all, but I'll move these guys onto the objective because they are far away and closer to the objective. So they go opposite direction. You're like, no, you have to engage. Okay, well, I'll engage these two, but these other two can't make engagement, so they'll go the other way. Like, no, you still have to come closer to the enemy unit. They can choose not to move, but they can't go closer, right? Or they can't go away. So you can always orbit to the side. Obviously, if you're within range that way, you can get on an objective. But you basically can't go to step 2, get on an objective, if it contradicts going with step 1, which is everyone move closer, must engage, must base, if you can't, all those things, right? Like there's like some musts in there that people are just like reading past. You're like, hey, it still says you must if you can. If you move anybody, you have to, right? So
yeah. That's one of the more complicated things in 10th edition too, is just getting all those rules right. The charge phase in general and the consolidate pilot and all that is just, there's a lot to it.
Yeah. There's still the argument and the question, I guess, around if you can move through your own models, right? Where it says you can do it definitely during your movement phase, but how does that translate to the charging phase or the consolidate, the piloting phase? Can you move through your models then? Like, it's not clear. So I don't actually know the answer to that.
The only thing I'd say is that in the charge phase, there is a rule about charging with fly that lets you move through models. Expressly, it says charging with the fly keyword. So to me, it seems like you can't move through models if you can charge.
Which is important, obviously, for basing and stuff, but also for move blocking yourself. If you roll a big charge, you can easier. If you can't move through your guys, much easier to move block yourself, just so you can manipulate the movement a little bit. So that's one. If you see the answer, you know the answer, you want to comment, give us your feedback. But we were kind of digging through the nitty gritty of the words. We got the rules lawyers, literally lawyers who are like, they look at words all day long to try to interpret, are we missing something here? It's pretty basic, right? It seems like you should move. You move, you go through guides. That's, but normal move, advanced move. It starts going through a whole bit. So,
all right. Well, that was a fun, lighthearted. What did you learn?
So it's all technical stuff in there, but yeah.
My brain is still trying to wind down from the tournament. I'm
wrapping it up. So these guys are all sick with COVID, and I get home with Damien, and it's like we just played 3 days of tournament Warhammer, and he's got to fly back in the morning, so we're winding down. We got to get up, leave the house at 7 in the morning, get down to the airport. It's like an hour and a half drive or whatever. And we haven't played in a while, and I beat you last time, so we can't like let that go without having a rematch. So we had to play another game right when we got back, just to set up the score. He beat the crap out of me, by the way. I was like, that's not supposed to. He made so many saves. I was unbelievable. Stupid custodes.
Those dice, man, I'm telling you.
I was like, I don't like to. I never like, because I like to roll hot. I have the dragon dice or whatever. But I was like, bite my tongue every time we roll more fours. At one point, because it's Damien, of course, I have to just like, I don't know about those dice right there. He's rolling so hot.
So, speaking of the tournament, you guys ended up winning.
We did.
First overall.
We did. 20 teams, 160 players. Mac was on Pro Tabletop Queen's Guard, so there's several Pro Tabletop teams there. We were on just like Pro Tabletop, no extra names, but Nick and I were. And we came in first. Mac's team ended up coming in fourth, but we had a good run. We drew the last round. We played Midwest Monstars. It was a tough game. We felt pretty good about our matches, but like a couple of us had some weird dice just attack us, and the scores kind of went down. So like it ended up being a draw. Like I think it was in question. We might have lost that round, the way it was going.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think we pulled a draw. We're like pretty happy about that. But the way the results were, we had won all the other rounds, so that was enough to push us over the top to get first. So we were pretty excited. We had put a lot of time and effort practicing and prepping for that. So kudos to the guys. Nick was a freaking a machine, a monster with his Tyranids. People questioning the Tyranid choice, and It's like, I got this. You know,
Don't worry about it,
guys,
man.
Don't worry about it. I'll get my points. So he was like a champ, like Mr. Reliable.
Yeah, our guy did all our pairings or worked on our pairings. Brad's gonna be like, what do you think you're gonna do in this matchup? I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe small win, small loss. I don't know. I'll keep it close. And then like get into the tournament and start dropping elbows on people. I was like, hey man, sometimes it goes off. Sometimes it works.
Yeah.
But there's so much that has to like happen in the right order for that list to really pop off. That like when someone asks you like, hey, you think you're gonna win this game? I'm like, I don't know. So am I gonna go first? Like, who am I playing against? Like, what's the terrain look like? What's the mission look like? Like, all that.
It's hard to kind of just like, nutshell, like make a prediction. And, there's this post analysis of, well, here's what you predicted against these matchups. Here's how you actually perform. But like, there's no analysis. What mission was it? What terrain layout table did you get? Who went first? Like some of those things can skew those numbers, right? And you just give it, and you're kind of giving the gut feel, like what's my gut thinking answer, right? Are you conservative in your thing? Are you trying to get really, I get 20 over everybody, Damien. So, sometimes you just,
which he almost did.
Subtle.
He almost did.
I think that's more of a joke to the other guys because they were so mad at him for like, he's like, put something real on this sheet. He's like, well, what?
That is real. That's real.
I'm just going to win every game.
They pair him to
points.
get 20s. Like that's the matches he gets, right? They're not going to give him. He's like, just tell me, Yeah. So there was always a back and forth with Damien whether he updated his sheet or not. This was all greens across the board. But yeah, so good times were had. I checked in with most of the people. I was just trying to do sanity checks with folks. This was kind of our first NTL 8-man team event here in the U.S. And Shane and the crew did a great job. JD with the weight games was there helping do the train and doing the rules, judging and officiating, and he was great. So that was my first time actually meeting him. Obviously we talked and prepared from a league perspective on how to set the things up, but there's always like a lot of tinkering and doing, but this is the first time in action, and so there's always things that we'd like to improve upon. If you guys were there and you're listening and you saw something, please share some feedback. I'm happy to take that back to the team. But from my perspective, I think everyone was super happy. A lot of folks I talked to had a great time. Finding 8 players is tough for a team, but I think the team format in general, whether that's 5s or 8s, people really like that. And so we had Trevi, if you want to watch some of those games, Tactical Tortoise, so go just check out the games there. I think our team was on stream for several rounds, so you can see, I think even Nick and I both were actually on stream, so we played different games. So
I played that Custodes list we were talking about earlier on stream.
Yeah,
and
so you can...
bad things happen to.
You can see how he did it. I played some orcs. I did some work.
Well, particularly that Custodes matchup's a really good matchup for that list of mids you have.
Oh yeah,
they're really super light on the board, and you say, hey, guess what? I'm everywhere all at once.
Mm-hmm. And that is also one of the ones where it's like, if I go first, especially with the tactics for my list, it's good for me. If I go second, I'm sitting there looking like, okay, let's reassess this game. Like, how are we going to do this?
I played mine. That's a similar score. Like I played my last round, Midwest Monstars, and Ryan was playing Tyranids against me, and like that was, on paper, like pretty bad match for him. But like he went first, and I had a Land Raider that just wouldn't do Land Raider things, and he was able to just pin me back there for the longest time. And luckily, it was kill one, kill more mission. So, like, I was able to keep the score even on primary. Otherwise, I would have got crushed. Like, he was just like, I took everything I could do to get to the objectives. But it was a great game. Brian did great.
One of the games I got where I think it was against the Votan player, and his turn 3, he had 11 points. Oof! Because it was it was one of the missions where you don't score your home objective, and I went first. Just jammed everything in there, and like it was
right.
Yeah. It was 3 turns before he left his deployment zone, and he's just like, I have 11 points, man.
Primary's always low on that one. If they make the mistake and take fix or something where they got to go deploy homers or something in the center, you're like, ooh, you might have messed up on this one, buddy.
He came back on that one. I still won the game, but it was a small victory because that's the one where at the end of the game, obviously the last objectives get you way more points.
Yeah.
And against Votan, I was like, well, I'm not going to kill any of your guys, but you're all tanks, so I can go stand in front of you. You can't move through walls. So you guys just stay over there. And then by my turn 4, I had like 3 models left on the table, right? So he's just like, okay, well, I get all the primary points now. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing I can do about that.
Finally had a model.
Yeah. That's great. That's congratulations to you guys. You really did a fantastic job on that.
Thanks.
Worked hard on it. Paid off.
It was a good time. We got some pictures. We got some nice times. We stayed at a nice house. Everyone was hanging out. We had I didn't get to see everybody. Like we had longer rounds, and like it still felt like the couple people. I was like, oh, I don't have time to. We were tired after the round. Not everyone had cars. Trying to coordinate large groups. We were going to go watch a movie. Dune, right, was out. We were going to go as a big group go, and I think after that first round, a lot of our groups were like, I don't feel. I just want to go back to the place. So I didn't get to do all the
warhammer
things
for 9 hours. You're like, hey, you guys want to go do stuff? I'm like, no, man, I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah, we were like old men, right? We're like, oh man, no, on the town or go back and lay down. You're like, yeah. We end up staying up all night anyways, talking about pairings and just BSing. But that was good times for sure.
Maybe y'all did. I'm an old man. I gotta go to bed.
Mac was like in the corner and then gone. So maybe the
old Irish goodbye.
Where'd Mac go?
No, it was a good time. My team was
So tell us about your team, right? Yeah, we had some good stories from you guys. We didn't get to
practice a whole lot together as a group beforehand, as because we're a couple of states away from each other. But we had some interesting lists. We had some bizarre lists to the meta, but great group of players, great group of guys, and we did great. It was my first time running pairings.
I kind of put that on you on the last second, right? So you weren't really like planning to do the pairings.
I was not.
When did he give that to you? Like a week before? Or
it was, I think, the week of or the week before. I don't remember.
Hey, by the way, you're doing pairings.
Yeah, good luck with that. So do it. It wasn't like that. It was he'd been away from the game for a while, and he said, I feel like you have more experience with it, so you might do a better job with it. And I said, well, I'll give it a shot. Is the best I can tell you. I'll try. So I did my level best, and we had some good matchups. We ended up going 3-1-1. We had 1 tie, 1 loss, and 3 wins. Our loss was so stupid. You had 2 bad matchups, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And I didn't think there were bad matchups, but they were. So I kind of failed the group in that regard. And then I did a totally random pairing. Literally, face down, shuffled the cards, had no idea what I was putting out. We found out together at the same time. And then when we were picking defenders, I rolled a d6, and even was that one, odd was that one. So that's how we did pairings, and we annihilated that team.
Oh my gosh.
It was our highest point. I mean, annihilated them.
So I have a couple stories to share on this if we could have a moment for Tangent Bird over here. But so the night before, or one of the nights before, Mac
was the night before I did that.
Yeah, so Mac's staying in our room. His team was in a different B&B. There was just not enough space or whatever. So he was staying with us. So we're doing pairings like we do. I'm over there in the corner. I'm not really paying attention. But Mac's called up because we're pairing against their team as a potential. And they're like, Mac, why don't you do pairings against us if we played against you? So he comes over there and sits down. And he decides, I'm kind of half paying attention, but, you can't tell if he's serious. Mac's always like, is this serious, Mac, or is this joking around, Mac? And so he does the random pairings.
So don't worry about it.
They go through several variations, right? If I defend with this, what happened? So at some point, Mac's tired of the whole thing, and he's like, he goes into random mode, and or you can't tell, right? You can play it off. And Brad is super serious about the pairing, so he's going through it all. And at some point, he does this random thing, and it's super frustrating because Brad's trying to predict what's the next thing, so I can get the right matchup and have it all fall through just right. And at the end of that whole thing, it's like the best, or according to Brad, the worst pairing for us, the best pairing for them. It was off of this totally random thing. It just like threw up the whole metric. So I'm like, all that AI analysis that he's doing in his head, it's not really a computer doing it. It's just Brad doing it, but like it's this random thing just like blew it all out of the water. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put this down. No, you can't counter that. I don't even look myself.
That's the whole. So of course, can't plan for somebody that doesn't have a plan.
Yeah, Max just doing the mind games. I just pulled it out of my pocket. Is this random or is that the one I put there? I knew was there. It's like shuffling around. I'm gonna put them down. So the second story was in my last game against Ryan. Talk about random. I'm just like struggling to kill, gene stealers with a Land Raider. It just refuses to do anything. I'm spending CP over and over on this Land Raider all game. It's ridiculous. But at one point, turn 3 is done, and I'm like going down my sheet. All right, I got this. I killed something. Yeah, did I get the thing? All right, I go. What did I score on my secondaries? And I realized that I hadn't even drawn my secondary cards at all. And I'm like, just like flabbergasted. Damien's already finished with this game. He's over there watching. He's just like shaking his head and looking at me like, do you even know how to play this game? What is happening here? This is the final round, right? Determine who wins the whole thing. And I'm just like, didn't even draw my cards. And I'm like, I asked my opponent, like, oh, you mind if I draw my cards now? He said, oh, of course. Like, what? So I'm like, I draw them slowly, like, the big dramatic reveal. And I flipped the first one. It's like area denial. And I had just like killed a bunch of gargoyles that was ringing Calgar on the center objective. I got it. Whew. And then I draw the next one real slow. Extend battle lines. I got my home base. Oh, look, tactical genius. I don't even need to look at these things. I just got them. They're just here.
They don't know how to stop you if they don't know what you're doing, man.
So, I know, right? Exactly. He couldn't defend. No defend. So super fun, random. Oh, golly, killing myself, but look, it worked out.
Which it'd be interesting if they would introduce that as a mechanic in the game. The kind of like they had a 9th edition where you could hide a secondary if you're playing Alpha Legion. It'd be interesting if you could do that too. You play with your cards face down when you draw them.
Oh, just to reveal. Yeah, most of them are like you score right away, so there's nothing they can do.
I can clearly tell you're trying to do, investigate signals. Get out of here.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
My
opponent, he forgot the next round, his draws. He remembered in the movement phase after he finished moving. And then I was like, oh, you don't want to just wait to the end to see like me? No, I'm going to draw. Oh, I need to move some guys around. Like, dude, I was laughing. All right, so last time we talked about Hot Lizard Drop, right? Like we had it all tuned up. There's going to be like, you had like one game with it. Like you're like, all right, hypothetical hammer meets real world. We took it to the tournament. Like we got to hear the results, right? Like you guys went 4th place, but how did Max Style do with the Hot Lizard Drop? Everyone wants to know. Interesting.
It's super interesting.
Is that doesn't sound like he did good.
The 5-second answer is there's there. There's something there. It's not a nothing burger. It is hyper violent, but I feel like I was gilding the lily. Used to be a long time ago, and I hate that I still use these terms, but like in Magic the Gathering, there was a term called like, is this a win or a win more?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of win more in my list. Like the Land Raider Redeemer. It was a win more.
If I'm doing good, that Land Raider's just being there, but like it's not adding to the value at the overall.
Like it didn't have the ability to dig me out if I was behind. It didn't have the mobility. I'd never put anybody in it. Like whole tournament, never had a soul inside of it. So why am I paying for, to carry 14 dudes when I don't ever use that? I miss infiltrators. Like Africa misses the rains. Like, whoa, I miss them. Like, the whole every time I was setting up models, I was like, man, infiltrator's right there at hit the spot. Man, infiltrator's right there at hit the spot. Man, that'd be really good right there.
It's like, so you got anything at deep strikes? Yeah, I got a lot of deep strikes. Man.
The only time I didn't was when I was playing Knights. And I was like, man, it'd still be really good to put some infiltrators right there.
You'd nice to have some loan-up infiltrators, like the extra spendy.
That'd be too much. I need a second unit of Inceptors. I need a short unit of Bolters. That would have helped dig me out of my one loss.
So you won 4 out of your 5?
I was 4-1. And
so who did you play? So I guess we should go through that.
I played 2 Custodes. I played an Imperial Knight. I played a Eldari. And, geez, I don't even remember the other one. That's bad. I don't even remember who my 5th opponent was. My 5th opponent was Imperial Guard. Or Imperial Knights. I honestly don't remember. It wasn't noteworthy either way.
What was the one that you lost? I know you won the 2 Custodes.
I won the Eldari. I lost the Eldari matchup.
You lost the Eldar, so...
Sorry, I'm still getting over COVID, so I got the brain fog and the dry throat.
You get the stroke brain. That's my shtick. What about you, Nick? While he's thinking about it, maybe he'll remember the last one. What did you play? What rounds? Or how did your rounds go? We'll just quickly recap the
sure.
You win.
So I played Eldari first, and Homeboy's dice were a little cold. He had no 6s for any of his fate dice, which was very sad for him. It was great for me. I had to go first, and he didn't leave his appointment zone for like 2.5 turns. Did really well. My army, he didn't have a lot of mechanized and all tanks or anything like that. So my army was actually pretty well suited into killing tough 3 guys with 1 wound.
You can kill infantry guys, yeah.
Yeah, he had the Avatar, which just had a ring of Von Ryans around him the entire game. Just pinned him into a corner off an objective and just all right, man, you're just gonna hang out over there for the whole game. And then his wave serpent that had all the melted guys inside blew up, and he rolled 4 1s for the guys inside.
Oh,
Whoa.
So
That's unlucky.
oh,
Or
I was like, oh,
exciting
okay,
if
well.
you're the non-Eldar guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Kill those
blew it
dudes.
up, and I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome!" But man, those melted guys are gonna get out, and then they're gonna wreak havoc now. And then they all died. I was like, "Okay, great." Anyway, moving on. Next. So yeah, I won that game by a good margin. Second game was against Imperial Guard, and they were playing the typical 3 out of line of sight, the Manticores,
yeah,
and then the
Bulgarins
Bulgarin, and then Caskets, right?
That's a pretty strong list like that. You know,
Yep.
like everyone was kind of like, Tyrannus, can you take this, Nick? Because like maybe, we don't want
So
to play.
I have a lot of
against
lone op in my army, and I got to go first. So he didn't leave his deployment zone for 3 turns.
this. Tyranny Tactics 101, go
I
first.
Parked lone ops on all the objectives out in the middle, and it was the score 5 points per up to 15. Forget the name of the mission. Anyway, yeah, I scored like 15 points.
This is taking hold. Is 15.
Yeah, taking hold. There you go. So I had taken hold, so I just scored 15 points and parked all my guys like right. I didn't charge anybody, just went and stood in front of them in a line. It was like, so you're not gonna move this turn. And then he would kill all the guys in the front there, and I'd throw gargoyles up there. He'd be like, okay, so you're not gonna move this turn. You kill all the gargoyles. Like, all right, so I don't know, I've maxed out my primary, and I've got like 35 points in secondary. So the rest of the game you can do whatever you want. And it's basically one like that. I played they say Custos guy was good player. I made some pretty big mistakes in that game that cost me. Could have kept it at like a 10-10, but like I made some real bonehead. Like it's like I didn't move a guy half an inch farther away, so you don't pile guys into him, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the general tactic was shove guys that way if I go first and score as many points as I can. It worked out pretty well. So
yeah, Nick was Mr. Consistent. Like you give him a hard match on paper. You're like, Tyrannus get rolled, and he come back. You're like, got the 10-10, or I got the 11-9. Or, I won somehow big, like, ooh, bonus. Yeah.
Sorry, the other list I played was Astra Militarum.
was it the same thing with the Manticores?
No, it was a double Shadow Sword list.
Oh,
Baneblades, Baneblades, sorry.
2 Baneblades, that's right. No Overwatch with the Baneblades.
It was, so 2 Custodes, a Militarum, an Eldari, and an Imperial Knight.
Man, your list is made to just like dumpster those types of things, man.
Well,
I feel bad for that guy.
I threw me out first. So, like, I'm the attacker. My list looks like Dog Dookie, so nobody's going to go
Nobody knows what it does.
Nobody respects it. So they think, well, let's get a 20-0. Who do we have that can 20-0 this? I mean, Custodes is a natural, like, it's just Marines. We can kill Marines.
I just got to make 4-up saves. Probably just got to make a lot of 4-up saves.
Well, no, the Custos are thinking that they could just kill his list, is what he's saying.
Yeah. I think they think they have the damage output to just kill me like that. The issue is, I don't do that. My damage all happens from Deep Strike and Reserve and from odd angles, and I'm the aggressor when it doesn't seem like I am. Because the first turn is basically a null deploy. I don't do anything.
Yeah, that's kind of how my list works.
But, so I missed Infiltrators. The Redeemer's out. Like, it was useless. All it did was soak up CP and not really do a whole lot for me. I need another Inceptor unit. The second Brutalis, I feel like it was a waste. I feel like it was a win more. In the Eldari game, it was out of position all the time. In the Custode games, it wasn't needed.
Mm-hmm.
One Brutalis could do everything that it wanted to do. In the night game, it never came out of the Storm Raven.
So let me pause for the folks that maybe hadn't listened to the other episode, just kind of recap the list that we're talking through right now. So the Hot Lizard Drop version 1.0, as we kind of described it last time, was 1 Storm Raven, 2 Brutalis, so 1 can get in. You had Vulcan leading a company of hero squad. They're inside the Raven, typically, because they want to jump out and like YOLO, give me some rerolls. You got 10-man Vanguard vets with a jump pack captain with hand flamers, so they can drop in and do some mortals. Deep Strike. You got a 6-man block of eradicators. They had the Land Raider Redeemer that they could potentially ride in. As you said, it just ended up never putting him in there, which is kind of odd, but yeah, it worked for you. And then they have, led by the Biologist, he's got the relic that lets you flip a dice to a 6. You can always get a dedicated lethal melt a wound. You're playing Flamestorm, so that you're going to get +1 strength, so it makes the Meltas a little bit more scary than most people kind of generically think. especially with all the rerolls and the flip auto 6. You're going to wound a lot, so you did a lot of Overwatch with that. You had 2 units of scouts, and you had 1 big block of 6 plasma inceptors. Did I miss anything out of the list?
That's it.
Yeah, it's not a lot of stuff, right? So you're talking about Land Raider kind of felt a little superfluous. You had the second Brutalis you're talking about maybe didn't have a home or didn't really need to be running around. It was kind of like you're going to reload the Raven when you set the one off, but it didn't really work out
that way. But it never really worked out that way. It was never in a position to do that whole thing, and even when it did happen, it was, well, I don't need it. It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't win a game. All it did was make it go, isn't this cool?
But you did it because you could.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Like kicking the kid while he's down. You're like, hey, how you liking it? How you liking it? Want some more? Want some more?
I don't know if I'll just kill you with, mortals on the charge phase. Like, okay, well, why?
Though you do have some good stories of like where you got to dogpile 2 of those dreads into some customs and just do some work.
So I literally had the Yahtzee roll. I had it. 2 of them charge a unit of custodian wardens in the charge phase. So they'd already burned their 4 up in the shooting phase. So they still had 4 ups from, because it was mortals. But I charged. I got the Mac D6, D3 plus 3 on impact attacks on both sets. Both of them rolled a 3, so it was 12 mortals on the charge. And then I tank shocked and got 6 more mortals. I literally put 18 mortals into a unit.
Before 2 of them got to swing with 3 damage. With it, yeah.
Wow. The guy was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." I mean, yeah. He's like, "No, I'm serious. Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm serious. Are you serious?" And we had this like weird, like Joe Pesci like exchange for like 20 seconds.
That's just not something you see. You're like, even as a custom guy who has to save against mortals, you're kind of like, that's not okay. I don't like that, right? Like,
it was
your attitude.
If I roll normal, I'm average, which hope you roll average most of the time.
So this was. I should point out, this was the same opponent that I had to show literally every data card in my army.
He's only got 4. Like, how long does that take? And he'll hit him with a stack of cards.
Yeah. He had I played the double Caladius and the non-Caladius tank version of Custodes. And this was the Caladius version.
Oh, he had the grab tanks in that one? Yeah.
Yeah, the Eradicators came in and nuked one because I got to reroll damage. And he goes, "What do you mean you get to reroll damage?" I was like, "Yeah, I get to reroll damage."
Yeah, they don't shoot twice anymore. They just reroll all the wounds. I don't know which one I like better, but...
it was rerolling
the rerolls, personally.
I mean, they only have 4 shots like that. Well, he's got the full squad, 8 shots, but still, yeah.
Well, and lethal.
His are way better than any normal. Strength 10. Now you're just like wounding on 4s, and he has a strat to make it +1 to wound. Yeah. No, if you don't know Flamestorm and he just walks on, he's like, "Yeah, I'm rerolling everything, and I'm wounding you on 3s with these melted guns. Get some." And you're like, that's not okay. And then you're like, all the rerolls, and you're like, "Oh, I survived somehow." And then he's like, "Okay, do you want to move?" And you're like, "What? Yeah, I'll move. I don't care. You're watching." And you're dead. Take the same more saves on.
I did get to do it. It worked out really well for me. Vulcan pointed at a unit, and I Oath-a-Moment a unit with the Eradicators of Custodes. And it was a big unit of Terminators. And I was able to... I mean, these are Melta hits. So it was re-rolling hits and wounds against infantry with Melta. Yeah, that turned out really good.
Because Vulcan lets you reroll all Melta and Flame Weapon wound rolls against the target, right? So you're like, hey, Meltas, you -1 to wound wardens? I don't care. I reroll everything. So
this was the big Terminators, the Aquilians, or whatever they're called.
Oh, he had the Forge World guys, right?
Yeah. No, the non-Forge World. These were the plastic ones. Those ones that are in the Codex. That used to be in the Codex.
Okay. How big is big? Did they have
4-man? It was big.
That's a lot of points,
man.
It
was big. It was the okay, this has got to go moment.
They're like 75 points a guy or something like that.
He was well aware.
Yeah, 4 wound guys. You're like, could you just lose a guy every fail save?
He failed 4 saves, and I killed all 4. I did have to CP reroll the last one, but it is what it is.
I kill them all, right?
Speaking of CP, like, you don't have a guy to give you extra CP. You got a lot of great strats in that book. CP. How was the CP spent?
It was okay. I ended up, I would always sit on 1 or 2. Like, I never went to 0. If I went to 0, it's because I was planning this and this and this and this and this and that turn, and it was the go turn.
Right.
That must be nice.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was
I'm getting
always
two,
out.
and I'm sitting on zero quite often. I'm like,
Yeah.
man,
And
I
I really
Waiting
need
for that
to.
turn to roll over.
For every 5-inch failed charge, you're like, I better have a CP left over because I'm gonna fail this 6-inch charge. You're like, come on, please. Oh, don't waste it now.
Well, the nice thing is I never really wanted to charge. Like the only time I charged was with the dreadnoughts, and it was usually a 4 or 5-inch charge.
Yeah.
I didn't fail any charges that would have changed any games. I didn't. The only thing I'll say is more CP would be nice, but Vulcan, every turn of every game was valid. He took a charge from a Custode Warden unit and survived.
Somehow.
Yeah. Like on the objective, he charged, and I was like, cool, I'm -1 to wound, and I'm going to armor contempt. Get out of here with that shit. And they bounced. I didn't say
Calgar lives through a lot of stuff.
but they killed a lot, and they didn't scratch Vulcan, so Vulcan, walked out of combat, pointed at him, and said, "Those guys are jerks." The Vanguard vets came down and said, "Now you're on fire, jerks."
Those guys are jerks.
And by the way, I'm still out OCing you on this objective
By myself. I'm Vulcan. What a punk. So we talked about. So you went 4-1, did really well. So what game did you do? Did you lose? How did it?
That was Eldari. That was
Eldari.
That was a good test of the list. Odd play aside from in the game itself, there was some questionable stuff that happened in the game. Neither here nor there. But what it taught me was, so he kind of got ahead. He killed my Storm Raven turn 1 because he said he could see it, and I didn't think he could see it. We kind of hemmed and hawed. But whatever. So I lost it to Fire Prisms, and I lost to Dreadnought turn 1. So I'm behind the 8 ball already.
Yeah.
Turn 2, I come back. So he went first. So he had 2 turns of just... He also had 3 of the indirect fire support weapons.
The D cannons, yeah.
So I couldn't push in. I had to stay way back until I could come in with my outflank and stuff. So my turn 2, I come back. I kill both Fire Prisms. I kill Falcon that's full of the Flamer melted guys. I kill the melted guys. I kill one of the indirect guns, and I kill all of his warp spiders. But the Avatar, that's bad.
Still, that's a lot of killing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you either decide he's the flame bait and he's taking it that turn to just get rid of him, or you're just going...
Well, he had him pretty well hidden. He was kind of in the center of his army.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get to him. I had to kill everything else there. So I kill everything else, and I still had the chance. It was still a close game. This was the mission where you get 15 on turn 5 and 15,
Supply drop.
Yeah.
The Alpha Omega mission. Yeah.
He had more board presence on turn 5. What little was left was still mobile enough and had enough, and I just couldn't hold enough. So it was still a close-ish game. I think he won by like 16 or 17. It wasn't like a blowout, but it was still, I felt like I had a chance. And even then, up until the bottom of Battle Round 4, it was almost neck and neck.
That's good.
Sorry.
So on the way back, I know we worked on the drive back on tweaks to it. So are we ready to talk about version 2.0? Yeah, or we want to go back to the rest of our games who we played against real quick from the tournament perspective.
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll talk about what we want to do version 2.
Version 2. Yeah, real quick, because Nick was in the middle of his. You played 2 games, and it was.
Yeah, I mean, those are my 2 big wins were against the Eldari and the Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else was pretty close. I won 3 games total. I lost to the Custodes guy by about 10 points. And then I lost to... I'm pulling a Mac.
But 10 points in the WTC scoring, right, is 11-9. Is that you got 11-9 or maybe
it was 11-9. I lost 12-8 to the Custodes guy because he won by 11 points is the cutoff, 12 points, something like that. Yeah, so he got slightly over the cutoff for that, and that was the round we really needed to win. Oh, it was the Space Marine player. That's what it was. He had the 2 Storm Ravens. He had 2 Redemptors. He had 2 of the Repulsor Executioners, and then just some stuff. Right,
Dark Angel.
He's playing the Dark Angels. Yeah, he had Azrael, and that was it for named characters. The rest was the Tech Marine with the enhancement that gives everybody lethals, which was weird in his list because the jets are so fast.
Yeah, he just leave them behind.
He's never in that bubble.
Yeah,
It was weird.
so we were kind of wondering how he was going to play it, right? We were talking through it a little bit. I was trying to explain to what his pain points were going to be for you to maybe exploit, and you're like, if either like castles up so you can get all the buffs, or the planes don't keep up with the little tanks, right? Like they're so big and ponderous.
That game was rough because like his dice were on fire for the first couple of turns. Like I went first, and he did not spend 3 turns in his appointment zone because he has jets. I went first and touched his back corner with a unit of Von Ryans, trying to like take out his some of his characters to lose those buffs. Wasn't able to kill anything, and it was kill more. So I basically gave him 8 points turn 1, trying to like even keep it even, So he would kill 1 unit, I kill 1 unit,
right?
And I'd also take out some of his buffing stuff.
Risky, yeah.
It was risk, but like I rolled the advance on him, and it was a 5, and I was like, I moved 15 inches, and then I can charge. And I was like, it was probably a 7-inch charge, and I was kind of like, if I get it, it's really good. If I don't, it's not the end of the world, because the Von Ryans against that army aren't going to do much, right? Like I'm not killing tanks with them,
right?
But his dice, I did 6 battle shocks, so he flew one of his flyers way over into my side, dropped the dreadnought off, and I was like, all right. I got all my exocrines and zone throws, all my anti-tank stuff that can come in off reserve. I'll pop that guy. I'll try to get him battle shocked so I can get +1 to wound. He passed every single battle shock on like an 11 or 12.
What's even like I said, I don't want to fill these. I'm just going to put in your eye and roll 10 or higher on every single test. You're like, that ain't.
And it was like, hey man, think about shot.
The shadows on that second
turn? Like it's bad, right? Like he's all up in my business for this next turn. Well, I popped shadows. He passed all of his leaderships on 10s, 10 or better, like 10, 11, 12. And I was just like, can you fail 1 battle shock for me? And then like 1 random executioner on the other side of the table wasn't doing anything, just sitting there, like failed a battle shock. And I was like, I asked and you delivered. So I
wasn't specific. I must be more specific when I ask.
I had 1 tank that wasn't doing anything on the opposite side of the table. Was like, oh, I guess I'm battle shock, man. Okay, well,
gee, thanks.
Let's do this the hard way. So I dumped everything into it. Didn't kill the plane. Didn't kill the dreadnought. And it just parked some guys in front of it and was like, we'll try again next turn. I can still do most of the battle shock shenanigans next turn.
Yeah.
So stalled him out there. But man, it was that second plane got in the mix, and it was started picking me up.
Just raining bullets on you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kept it close. I lost that one, like I said, by like 12 points. And there was a couple of things I could have done looking back on it that would have like kept it a little closer, but like
I mean, to keep it that good, that close. I mean, that kind of match, no one really wanted to take that match. I mean, I was like, I know how it works, so like at least I have that going for me, and I have a lot of burst damage, so I feel like I could kill things if you miss positions, but I don't want to get shot by it all. So like everyone was kind of like trying to figure out who's going to be the guy to like suffer through that match, and then you were like, I got it, and so. You did great. We were like excited about that score. No, you did great. That was fantastic. Like that was awesome. You played really well.
Well, I was just baiting them out with like random stuff. Like there's a 3-man unit of Von Ryans over there, but like it's getting me deployed tempo numbers. Like, do you want to take a jet and fly over there and take care of them?
Because just get it again next turn. Yeah, let's get it again. Yeah, like that's the worst. That's the Marine. Most armies, but like Marines, you're like, I just don't have that many resources. You're like, I don't want to let you have a free 1 warp spider getting behind enemy lines. I got to go back there and get that one guy.
Yep, make hard choices. And then like when he moved one of his executioners there to actually deal with them, I moved them out and just stood in front of it and blocked him from moving closer. So I put a load up on the objective 12 inches away where he couldn't move into, and was like, all right, well, you're gonna kill them.
Yeah,
I won't even make you roll for it. Just tell me when you're going to shoot him, and I'll pick him up off the table.
Standard
Not getting on the point this turn.
I mean, if you haven't been Tyranid got like that, you're like, you ain't living, because that's rough. It's just like nothing you could do. You're like, I have all the death in the world, and you're like, it's so close, but I can't get there.
Hey, that was the strategy of the weekend, and it worked pretty good most times. So but I'm also happy to be doing some singles events, and I'm going to try to move over to doing some Space Marine stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about Marines for you. So just to recap, you don't have to go through the in-depth of all the different plays, but you played Custodes, you played that Dark Angel plane list, you played the Imperial Guard list with all the Manticores, and then
the Eldari.
You played Eldar. Is that all of them?
It's 5.
That was that? I
Almost
counted on my fingers, but I lost count. All right, so for me, I'll go real fast. So I played a demon list the first round of Chaos Demons. He had like Bellicor, Rodigus, and like the Great Unclean One, the Feel No Pain, and then a bunch of Plague Bearers, all kind of Nurgle themed except for Bellicor. And I was able to just shoot and shoot and shoot, and I was able to do really well. So I got a max score on that one. I ended up playing, I don't know the order here now. So I played Orcs, did really well. I played that one on stream. I was able to do kind of Tyranid things to him. I dropped Inceptors on turn 2, just not even for damage. I was just like, whatever, I'm going to move, block you inside your zone. And then you're like, you want to wog right now? And you're like, no. And he stayed there, and they got trapped in his home deployment zone for like 2 or 3 turns. So pulled a neck, and he couldn't cut back and score. And then I played another Marine list, Gladius. I played Mark Hurdle. He was a great player. I think he was trying to get a big score off of my list. He picked me. And turn 1, like it all went to crap for me. And I'm like, he's like, I shove all my Land Raiders up there. What are you going to do? And I'm like, half my army's in reserve. And I'm like, I knew he was going to do this, but like, I'm not really positioned to like exploit this. But I'm also exposed where if he really pushes hard, he could like actually attack me and damage me. So I have to like commit now, or I'm going to get rolled up. And I'm like, I came out of the booth and he kind of wet noodled it. I like failed the charge. I did kill one of his Land Raiders, but I'm like, I had to sacrifice because he's going to flame me. Eradicator's like, flame me and roll low. And he's like, I roll hot. You're dead. I'm like, oh, well. So it was a costly turn. And the whole team was walking around looking at it. And I'm like, I don't know. I think he might get his 20 after all. And I'm like, I battled back and was able to pull that to a draw. So it was a great kind of victory for our team. And we ended up winning that round. So Marines, Demons, I played Orcs, I played Tyranids at the end. Ryan was a great opponent. I needed to go first, put the pressure on him. He went first and pinned me, so we got the draw. He actually won that game like by points, 87, 84. There's a couple of crazy draws at the end. It was a fun game. And then I played Chaos Knights, one of our good buddies locally, Colin Cochran. I'm always talking smack about Knights, so he was trying to avoid that pairing with a passion, and we like engineered it so that I would fall through to the end, and he got suckered in. And so I was dancing the jig at lunch whenever the announcement came out. And so as much as I talk about Knights, like that's a hard game, especially on that mission that we were playing. It was priority targets where you move the objectives around, chosen battlefield. So it's hard to score big with Knights because you just have to kill. You have to kill them all really fast, otherwise they just score, right? They just get points. And or taking hold. It was still taking hold, but at the end of the day, like it ended up being a 1-point victory for me. So like a draw in the game round, but a 1-point victory for me. So I could still claim victory over the Knights.
Your pride walked away from the
I told him, I was like, there's no downside for you. If you beat me, then you get to take all the credit, the glory, talk smack to me all day. My whole team's going to give me hell because I can't lose the Knights. They've made this pairing happen. And if I win, it's supposed to happen and, whatever. Like I'm not going to really score big unless you just like fall over. And so pride held out. That was like I got the 1-point win. So it was a good weekend overall. I got to like everyone else is like, you got a 10-10. I'm like, dude, yeah, you don't know how hard I had to work to pull that back. The things are going wrong. All the things are happening. You don't even understand. I couldn't let them win. All right, so that was good. Great tournament though. So we're obviously looking forward to another one. There's another one up in April in New York. So we're like not even. This one's barely complete. We're already talking about the next one. So we're trying to figure out exactly who's going to go. And now we got Hot Lizard 2.0 to drop. I was excited about the next stories. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not a convert to Vulcan. I do have a Vulcan. Could be convinced.
Green's easy to paint, buddy. I got to figure it out.
I already have a green Vulcan. I just paint everyone else blue. I don't actually have any Brutalis built. There were never any list. That's the way I roll if I don't have it. In a list that doesn't get built and painted. So to make that list happen, I would have to do some work on it hobby-wise, but I'm interested to see. Okay, so go back. Now we're talking about 2.0. What's the new version?
So the Redeemer's coming out. Okay. So is Redeemer. So is the second Brutalis.
So 260, and then like the Brutalis is like 170, 175, right?
175.
So we're talking about 400-ish or 50 points, right? Something like that.
I found an interesting little unit. So what I needed was more board presence. Let's back up. I need more board presence. I need to hold my home objectives. I need to push that, like, if you played StarCraft, your obvious expansion area. Mm-hmm. I need something to go over there and not be like, I have to put 400 points on that objective because it's all I've got. or
Yeah.
a Brutalis standing over there for no reason.
Yeah.
And somebody with a little bit of to pizzazz to add something to it. So 2 scouts was nice. It ain't enough. Gotta have infiltrators. Gotta have them. I would prefer 2 infiltrators and a scout unit, if I'm honest with you, over 2 scouts.
I like 2 scouts. The way I use them, I'm very aggressive with my scouts. So like
I do too. So
having only 1, I would be really sad.
I need a short unit of bolter inceptors. Gotta have it.
The Inceptors,
Yeah, gotta have
those
it.
guys are money.
I mean, they're almost too good to not include at least 2 units in your army.
It's a lot of points. God, they're so good. They're so good.
So add you like 460-ish points, right? That we've just like picked up 260, 175, like 500-ish points. How many points is that? Math is hard for me right now.
So let me just we'll get there.
You're like, you've already spent half of it, basically.
Hold on.
The Inceptors and Infiltrators.
So there's an interesting unit, Assault Intercessors with jump packs.
You talked a lot about those guys.
I like
them. I like those guys a lot.
I like them.
What?
I love them.
I don't remember that part of the conversation.
I've been singing their praises for
I have like
weeks
4
now.
boxes. Tell me what to do with them. I haven't figured it out
You give them
yet.
to me, and I'll paint them yellow.
Wait a minute. You can paint them, but they gotta be blue.
So they're fast. They have jump packs.
Yeah.
They move 12 base. They can have a hand flamer on the sergeant and 1 plasma gun, plasma rifle, plasma pistol. We'll get there. Sorry. The sergeant can have a fist or a power weapon. Obviously, you go fist, so you can have some 2 damage. And they do impact mortals on the charge for everybody in the unit.
You said more mortals for your list, right? Yeah.
And a bunch of 4-1/1 attacks, and then a bunch of 4-1/1 pistols.
So they're in the list? I thought we like went back and forth and they were out of the list. They're back in the list.
I like it. I like it in the list.
Has this changed since the last time I talked
It
to
has.
you? He's in the COVID tank, so he's got nothing but time to go
yeah.
think about lists.
This might be fever dream talking, but I like them.
I love it.
The other unit, so put a character with them, a chaplain with a jump pack.
What? You have points for another character?
You do.
Oh, this is spicy. This is you going off the rails here.
So
chaplain, now you're talking my language. Now I'm interested.
Now this is definitely.
And I'll talk about the other things I considered and why I think this is the best option for the list.
Okay, yeah, let's hear this.
I like this unit because you can deploy them. You can island hop with them if you need to. You can help push things. It's what I needed was that midfield brawler kind of scrapping unit. I don't need something. I'm not looking for somebody to just
full 10.
5-man.
Okay.
I'm not asking you to take out an Avatar of Cain. I'm not. I'm asking you to go kill a unit of infiltrators or scouts or touch something and be annoying.
That random last dude who's left in the unit who's over there taking a point.
Go harass.
Who's behind the wall.
Yeah. Go be a harassment unit for lack of a better term, but still punch above your weight class if I need you to. So the chaplain in the fight phase, you roll a d6 and you get mortals just for being in the fight phase. So you get impact mortals, which he counts as part of the impact mortals because it's every model that ends. He would be in another model. And they have the grenade keyword. So if you really need to, and they get +1 to wound innately when he charges. So all of a sudden, it's kind of interesting. You could just be like, I don't know, here, mortals, when you have no business doing
Toss a grenade plus probably 2 or 3 mortals with the charge plus another.
So it's a 4-up with 6
2 or 3
guys.
mortals.
So call it 3.
Yep.
And then the chaplain does his mortals in the fight phase.
It's D3
on a roll, right? So you're like, okay, I've done some mortals. Maybe I threw a grenade for some extra mortals, and now I'm +1 to wound and melee. Just some slaps, chainsaw slaps, AP1 maybe.
Sure, AP1.
But you're like,
but a +1 to
totally
wound.
fine.
I mean, you're wounded tough 3 on 2s. So.
Okay, I could. You're making a solid case here. Okay, I like where you're going with this. Okay,
Plus,
so what were
with the chaplain? You put a hand flamer with him, so you have 2 hand flamers. So if worst comes to worst, I can just go. I don't know, man, Devlin strat because I need to. No, that is not the best case scenario for that unit. But you can.
If you just cook up 10 mortal wounds before you do anything, effectively, that's a potential scary threat, right? Like
from a throwaway unit. From
Avatar, you're like, you don't want that unit to be like, oh, it's 5 assault guys, who cares?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all.
And then he runs over there like, well, actually, are you on 5 wounds left? I'll kill you, no problem, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a grenade at you. I'm gonna charge you. I'm gonna flame you.
If I need to flame you, like, woo.
And those are pistols, so we can do that in combat. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm going to stay in combat. Here, Dev Wound, Strat, and Grenade. Like, wait a minute.
We can't grenade in combat,
yeah.
yeah. But definitely get some mortals for sure.
It's
So if you're
That's
playing
interesting.
White Scars, like you should be doing, you could just fall back and then do it and then charge
yeah.
again.
Well, so the great thing, well, you wouldn't get the flamer thing, but like you still do all the other things with that unit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
All that stuff works for your list.
for
they're definitely in my list.
Did you come up with this? Did he just figure this out on his own?
this was independent. This is Fever Dream.
Yeah.
I was like, he's trying to make the assault one work.
COVID brains were connected because
I knew
built
he
the
was
White
all in
Scars.
the assault guys, so
This
like I
is
didn't know that I bled over to Mac.
My Paxlovid brain came up with 160 points with the chaplain.
Okay, so what were the runner-ups? Because that was not at all in the list that we had talked about.
Outriders.
80 points?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
80
80.
points. 80 points.
80
The
for
super-
3. I don't think
cheap.
they're bad. Like in
I
a
was like-
vacuum,
I was like-
yeah, they're terrible. They're not good. But give them assault
Super
guns.
butt.
They auto advance 6. So now you got a unit that's auto moving 20. Has big old bases.
Yeah,
And
they
can
get
move
assault guns
block
because
like
they're in his
crazy.
detachment, right? Like just auto. They're just move free 18.
20.
They're assault because it's flame storm, and then their bolters get +1 strength because you're close. So you can
Yeah.
potentially
Mhm.
shoot strength 5.
Strength
bolters.
5 twin linked guns that are assault. By the
And
way,
then-
that came up all weekend.
Yeah.
Being
Why?
in-
Or they just like constantly arguing
Everything's
with
an
you.
assault
Like,
gun. It's fine. I can do actions if I advance. Everything's an assault gun. Well, why can you do that? Because everything's an assault gun. It's fine.
Flamestorm gets you every time. I even know it gets me. Like you get that stupid question. Mac is like loves to pick the armies where you're like, why do you get to do that? Because I'm salamanders. You're like, that's his answer for everything. And like this is that army all over again.
A Storm Raven.
And really, that is still the answer. Like it's Flamestorm, but that's really because it's salamanders. Like that actually still works. So you're like, hate that answer.
So one of the alternatives I thought about was an Outrider unit or two,
Mm-hmm.
just for that midfield brawler kind of get in there and do things. But I don't think I can turn them to 11 if I had to. Yeah, they can still do grenades, but they can't do the
Because
impact
they have
numbers of
grenades.
fight. They do.
They have grenades.
do.
You can even- Well, that was a
Yeah,
surprise
you're
for
going to
us.
see a lot of overlap between my White Scars list and what we're talking about now.
Yeah, like there's some things that carry over for sure. You're like, yeah, well, that was a big surprise. We're like, you know what we learned? Oh, that's a good one for what we learned, right? We learned that they had grenades, and Storm Raven does not have smoke. Can't pop smoke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I learned that
That
because
is-
I
that was
wanted to do it.
relevant.
And I looked just to make sure. Oh,
I
no,
think
I
Nick
can't
was
do it.
telling about his game. He's like, yeah, the Storm Raven popped smoke, and he saved a bunch of. I'm like, we hate on that smoke. Both
Yeah.
Mac and I were
It
like,
was- it was
that doesn't have
that-
smoke.
There was that one that came into my backfield that turn 2, and it was like I was like, all right, man, I gotta kill him the old fashioned way, and it was I dumped everything. He's like, I do armor of contempt, and I pop smoke, and I was like, this is bad. This is not great. I'm not gonna lie. It's hitting on 4s, and like, yeah, so yeah,
Wow.
and then after the fact, you're like, yeah, they don't have smoke, man.
Yeah,
They
it's something like
can't
that
do
way.
that. I was like,
You got. Sometimes that happens. I mean, there's so many different keywords. But
Yeah, oh,
you,
for sure.
you just
I
think
assumed it
marine
did,
vehicle, right?
right?
You're like marine
Yeah.
vehicle. They all have smoke,
Yeah.
and it turns out they don't all have smoke.
So, speaking of Storm Ravens, MVP all weekend. Just 2 Strength 5 Hurricane Bolters, way underrated. Way underrated.
This is all twin link too. Like the Storm Raven's so good because it's you just don't realize all the guns on it, except maybe the missiles, are twin linked. You just like re-rolling all wounds with it. It's just like
Yeah, all my opponents just watch me pick up a handful of dice and roll them. Then I would go, hey, guess what? Everything's twin linked. And I'd roll it again. And then I'd do
I
this
do
and I'd be
like
like,
my
oh, I get to
rerolls.
re-roll those. Every one of my opponents said, how do you have so many re-rolls? I was like, because that's what I do. And they were like, because I'm salamanders. And they were like, no, for real. How do you have so many re-rolls? Then I had to show them all the cards every time. Yes, it says twin link. Yes, it says twin link. Yes, like it was just a thing.
oh yeah, because you Brutalis all have it. Yeah,
Yeah.
every one of your guys.
Everything on the Brutalis is
Vulcan's
twin
like, are you not twin linked? I'll help you with that. You know?
yeah. Would you like to have some rerolls?
And you get it. And you get it.
The Storm Raven, very useful. I mean, overperformed for what I needed it for clearing out
So is it-
trash and being that midfield. Like, no, go away
no.
if I need it to be. Like that's
Yeah,
super
now, like,
useful.
We know you took out the Land Raider and a Brutalis, right? So like, where was the thinking on these Dark Angel lists have 2 of these planes? Why don't I just have 2 of these planes?
So I can't protect them as well as they can, and my damage is way more burst than theirs, and it comes from the infantry that I bring down. So
Yeah.
I can nuke a a Storm Raven from orbit with mortals with the Vanguard vet squad. I mean, I don't care about armor contempt. I don't care your minus to hit. I'm hitting you with a flamer. And here,
Or your eradicators,
Yeah,
or
nice
like,
deal.
you have options.
Just the Inceptors, the Plasma Inceptors, and the Vanguard can take out 2 Storm Ravens like that on turn 2. It's like, what else are we doing? That's nonchalant.
That's so scary because that's not how they work in my list. Those are big damage units. You know what they can do, and you're like, you just dot them up to 11 because your detachment's a little different. Like,
in my game,
damage is way higher.
In my games this weekend, I took out about 1,200 points of Custodes on turn 2 in one game. I took out 2 Bane Blades and 4 of the Scout Sentinels and 2 Bane Blades in a single turn. 3 Big Knights and a Little Knight and a Calexis in a single turn.
What, 3 bigs and a little?
Yeah.
In one turn?
Yeah. And then he moved.
I didn't hear this story.
That is stupid.
And then he moved a little on his turn, and I overwatched.
Oh, he got overwatched? Oh!
Killed it in Overwatch with the Eradicators, and he went.
Did you, apologize profusely?
No.
That's not okay. Even as an anti-Knight guy, I'm like, oh.
I said.
It's like you're playing your old Salamander list, and they, throw Knights at you. You're like, you just don't know what you just did.
I said, please don't move that. It's going to die. And he said, no, I have to move. And I was like, you really don't. He's like, no, I'm going to move.
I love that he's telling him, just please.
I'm duty bound to overwatch you. I have to do this.
I have to kill you. I don't want to. I really don't.
It was I said
the whole shirt. We could leave it there.
I went so against the Knight player. I went first. I null deployed. I stayed back. I move blocked him with my scouts. I advanced, or I knew I was going first, so I scout moved and advanced and blocked a passageway for Knights. So I knew I could set up for turn 2. He kills the scouts. Cool, man. You did it. You the best.
This is Imperial Knights? Or
yeah, Imperials.
Oh, you
Vulcan got out of the Storm Raven, pointed at the Crusader. Vanguard vets came down. Eradicators came in the back arc. Inceptors came down. Everybody, Brutalis went and charged one. The Lancer, it all just happened.
The Lancer, you're like, hey, you got an invulnerable save. You are the one that gets all the mortals. You're like,
he did.
No invulnerable save for you.
He got tank shocked, and I got I think 4 or 5. It was a good amount on the charge in one. And
painful tank shock and grenade strats. Normally those are money go to wounds. I had I had a lone brood lord. Just decide he just didn't want to get burned up from a redeemer shooting him twice. So I was like, I have to now divert to the second brood lord and squad that has now charged me again. I will split some of my guns. Well, he just makes saves, so I better make sure. So I'm going to mortal him. I threw grenades. I did 2 mortal wounds. I did a couple dev wounds, not because he failed saves, from my assault cannon. And then I was like, I got to tank shock him. I got to charge in. Tank shocked him. 12 dice, 2 mortals. He's still alive on 1 wound. I'm like, this thing is not going to live. It's not going to die. I was lucky I drove under the tracks. I got him with the last one. I was like, please die, please.
And
but man, you're doing some work. I cannot believe 3 bigs and a little. And you set the Overwatch up for the next one, and he just walked into it. Like, oh, the game's over. In
nobody
one shot.
expects the Overwatch from the Eradicators. You really don't. You forget that I get to re-roll the. Get out of here.
I would tell him. I'm straight up, don't, please don't. I will.
I did. I said, please don't move your guy. I
guess he just thought you were joking. I mean, you're just, big weekend over there. No, that's actually a real statement.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
The Eradicator Overwatch is real.
They'll kill some baby knights, no problem.
It was nonchalant. I think I did 30 damage to it. It was not.
I don't care what kind of dice you got in the bank. That's not good math for you, baby knight.
So I have plenty of killing power. I didn't change what did all the killing. I haven't changed that a bit.
Still got all that.
Yeah,
golly, I want to feel that power. That feels so good.
It's.
I don't want to play a green guy, but I might have to try it.
It was even in the game I lost playing against Eldari. It was nice to sit there and go, yeah, I can reliably kill those 6 things. Yeah, that's no big deal. And he did. It just like that.
There's nothing when you because we do this a lot in my basement, and some of it's a little bit of a bravado, but some of it's just because we're testing things out, and you're like, do I get the things I think I'm going to get? So you kind of walk through. Here's my you think out loud your plan, so your opponent. You're kind of giving them information, but you're also kind of just matter-of-factly stating this is what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
And most of the time, they're just like, there's no way. There's
Get out
no
of here. That
way
can't
you're going to
happen.
do that. And you're kind of like, well, if it goes really well, I might get this extra thing too, you know? And they're like, no way. And then you just like do all the things, chop, 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 chop. And then all the things blow up and the game's effectively over at that point sometimes. And you're like, they're looking at you like you're some kind of wizard. And you're like, I just did the things, right? But like, if you do that in a tournament game where you're kind of like, I'm kind of telling you because I've done this so many times or I just know, and they don't believe you. And then when you do it, like the game might just be over because they're just like, you sap their will right there on the table right in front of them.
It's
but man, it's brutal when you can just like, you know, from just like, this is just going to go away. It's inevitable. Like it's going to happen. So,
well, it's because I don't want to say it's non-interactive, but the Vanguard vets, especially just going, I'm just going to do mortals. Like I'm just damn.
you know, it's very consistent. There's so many dice at it. It's
11d6. The highest I rolled was just under 50, and the lowest I rolled was like 28 for number of shots. I made a mental note of that. Average 30ish, 35. It was usually somewhere in the mid 30s. The number of dice I was rolling, and that's about.
And then how many mortals did you do?
The lowest I did was 12. The highest was 21.
21.
Yeah, it was
12
a lot.
mortals seems like a lot, even with 30 dice. I guess
It was a lot.
But
I did 21 mortals to the Crusader when he came in. I was like, I'm sorry, dude, but you got 6-ups. Your Imperial Knights. He didn't make 21 6-ups though. Yeah, it was bad. It was
the
really
plasma
bad.
scepters, you'd be like, hey, we're 3 damage.
The plasma
and
scepters.
You won 4s, twin link, because we're
plus
+1 to
wound, twin linked with. They were always my oath target. Every turn they dropped in, they killed what they shot at. From a storm, from a Bane Blade to a Baby Knight to a Fire Prism to a unit of Wardens, whatever they shot at died. Period. They're so good. Strength 9 +1 to wound. God, so good. I know water's wet and the sky is blue, but holy crap, they're good.
I'm jealous with the non good version, I guess I got, but man,
I'm jealous because my army doesn't do mortals. Like mortal wounds. You guys get to do those?
He overloaded everything that could take it. I don't know how it just ended up that way. I don't think that was their plan originally. It just like organically worked out that way.
So I really like replacing that second dreadnought with that 5-man unit of assault intercessors.
Yeah.
Just being able to go mortal wounds here now, but I don't have to. But I can. But I don't have to.
Okay, so
I can.
So what is the rest of the list? Because is that all of it? Is that the second half?
So
of the
as
points?
it stands,
That's all the points.
Version 2.0, I'm calling it. Like a line in the sand. You still have the Biologists and the Eradicators. Still have the upgrade. You still have the Jump Pack Captain with the Vanguard Vets. You still have Vulcan with the Company Heroes. You have one Brutalis. You have a Storm Raven. You have a 6-man unit of Plasma Scepters, a 3-man unit of Bolter Inceptors, 2 Infiltrator units, a Scout unit, a Assault Intercessor unit with Jump Packs, and a Chaplain with a Jump Pack.
That's bold. The double infos.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like the big meta right now is the Necrons, right? With their teleporting around. Like, that just shuts
How
that
about you
down,
stay
like,
on that half
immediately.
the table?
Yeah.
I was underwhelmed by the Hypercrypt. Some people got busted up, but like when I saw their actual damage come down, what was actually shooting, I was like waiting for more. I was like, where's the rest of it? Like, what's the big thing that's gonna? I'm like waiting for the aggressors or the Vanguard Vets worth of damage. And I'm
They used to have it. They did
with the Immortals.
Yeah.
But now I was like, I mean, you shoot a lot of shots. I get it, right? Like, but like it wasn't like all encompassing death. Maybe for some armies, obviously. I'm speaking just kind of specific for my army. I wasn't like overly scared, but I didn't really get to test it in full. We had one practice game with it just so I could kind of get the basics, but I didn't end up getting matched up into Hypercrypt over the weekend.
So I like 2 infils. The weird points total, it's weird how it worked out. Like the Vanguard or the Assault Intercessors could be Vanguard Vets, and I could have 2 scouts and 1 infil. So a short Vanguard Vet.
Yeah.
Which is not terrible. But they don't do the mortal wounds without CP input that the other ones do.
Yeah. It's only 1 CP or 2 CP for that?
It's 2 CP for the flames.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
It is a battle tactic, so you can do it twice.
You just have to find
You just
more
have to
points
actually
for
have
the captain.
CP, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, why would you not do 2 units?
It wouldn't be,
Right.
well, you wouldn't need the captain, right? At that point, it would just be, well, I mean, I guess you could, but like you couldn't double down on the free captain.
The captain would
just
give you 2 free ones. You're just going for redundancy at that point.
Yeah.
And I think
you just keep the chaplain in.
I think I like the small footprint of the 6-man.
Yeah. You can hide it pretty easy.
Yeah. and that could be the
Yeah.
like.
And that's
surprise.
not their job, right? That's not their job, right? They're
they
supposed to
can.
look non-assuming, right?
But the whole idea was, give me something that can help dig me out of a hole if I have to. It's just like that Eldar game. It's the bottom of 3, and I'm like, all right, I have 2 scouts, 2 of these and 1 of those, and 75 cents. What can we make out of that? And having
found a nickel on the floor. Does this buy me anything? Yeah, I like it, dude. Well, I mean, those are cool models too. Like I've been jonesing for a reason. They like actually get them built and painted, right? So
I considered a storm speeder hail strike because
that was in the list. So yeah, you didn't mention that. That was one of the things we were kind of excited getting the +1 AP. Now making those Vanguard vets, arguably, if it was needed, even more killy.
But that doesn't work against monsters and vehicles. So the Eradicators can't go to AP5.
I think that was a change, right?
Yeah,
that was a change. They changed it because it used to be everything. I forgot that it was only non-monsters and vehicles.
I can't really turn it to 11. It can fly around and be annoying, and it's OC3 and it's T9. Yeah, great. Like, cool.
Yeah.
But you're not going to clear off scouts off of an objective just with your shooting.
I didn't realize that. I don't know how to miss that because I knew that too before. So
I don't need the +1
things you
speeder.
knew that you forget.
I don't need the ignore cover speeder because every flamer ignores cover innately, or it's got enough AP to put you on your invuln, so I don't really care about that. I also consider... Sorry, go ahead.
It was just making the Storm Raven deadlier, right? Like you just like deep strike it in, and Storm Raven gets to get extra AP against a bunch of little piddly stuff.
It does so many wounds it didn't matter what it... Like, if it was like a tough 4 models, I don't know, man, take 25 saves. Like, it doesn't matter. Plus, the assault cannon on top was really good all weekend. It'd just be like, that thing's on 1 or 2. Just take a couple dev wounds over there.
Yeah, so we were talking about, because the Dark Angel was like the plasma, and I didn't realize the plasma was 3 damage, so you add another one to what did you learn this weekend? Heavy plasma is 3 damage if you overcharge it.
It is.
And twin linked, but it's only D3 shots. So we were like, D3 shots, and then we go through the things.
Nice.
In Ironstorm,
nice.
Ben Sherwin pointed out a neat trick that I also missed. Boy, I learned a lot of things actually this weekend. Now that I'm thinking it through. I'll give you one more tidbit. I know we're out of sequence here, but so in the Ironstorm, there's a strat that says ignore modifiers, right? And it's kind of like if you're wounded. I guess the idea is like if you're a low bracket tank, you can pop the strat so you can shoot like at your top profile. In my mind, that's all I thought it was, right? In the old rules, ignore modifiers it wouldn't even necessarily do that. So the strat kind of became this dead strat. And then the latest data slate, they went back and changed what ignore modifiers does, right? Ignores half damage, it ignores ballistic skill modifiers, all that stuff, right? But not really thinking about Ironstorm because that's not top of brain. And so when you overcharge that plasma cannon, you're looking for 3 damage, but you're also potentially looking for just a little bit of damage on your Storm Raven. So that on turn 2, now you're wounded, you could pop that strat. So now you start thinking about, I'm shooting at something, a Satan, a Custo guys, or whatever that has minus damage or half damage or anything. You could just like, sorry, I ignore modifiers. And then you just like drop the hammer on with a Storm Raven. So I was like, spicy tech, right? Like secret tech that you just didn't see.
I wouldn't have thought, unless you play that list, you wouldn't think of that.
You wouldn't know that, right? Like, what a choice. Assault cannon, you're like, yeah, I use assault cannon. I know what it does. Plasma cannon, like D3 shots, who cares, right? Like, okay, another 3 damage shot, who cares? But now I see the reason.
Who cares
so pretty good.
Casual 3 damage? Who cares? It's no big deal.
You're some many 3 damage things. You're like, very specific units have it, right? You're like the Inceptors. You're like, you go down the list, it's like 3 or 4 things only. Not even fighting guys have 3 damage. Very few things have 3 damage. So you're kind of like outside like dreadnoughts and stuff.
So,
but yeah,
one of the 3 damage things I considered was Adrax Agatone with 6 Blade Guard vets. He can ride in the same Storm Raven with Vulcan. They re-roll wound rolls. I give
you're
+1
going deep
to wound
over here. Man, you get so much re-rolls in that army.
I know.
All the way.
I know.
How am I not playing this?
That's a rough little unit. I mean, it is.
It is. I mean, if you have Blade Guard with the buffs up, that's the biggest weakness is they don't, if they're in combat with something tough, they're only strength 5, right? So they have like a certain profile they can't go fight into, but you kind of solve that +1 to wound, full rerolls, a buff character in there, maybe doing a little extra slappage. That unit now becomes a little bit more multi-purpose.
He has a strength 10 -2 flat 3 damage hammer.
Yeah. There's really not a lot of Marines that can do 3 damage. Calgar is one of the few. Agatone. Does Lysander still do 3 damage?
I think so.
He used to have a big beefy hammer.
Yeah, I think he's got a 3 damage Thunder Hammer. But I considered that. The problem with them is they're not as mobile, and the Storm Raven doesn't have assault ramps, so I can't
You can't fly
I
and
can't
drop.
come in
You have
hot
to
and
just
charge you out of a Storm Raven. So that means I have
Yeah.
to and I can't advance and charge. So I'm really kind of restricted to, well, I have to set it up and I have to do that. Who's got time
You're
for
like,
that?
I'm flying in hot. Yeah, did you get my Storm Raven? No? Okay, well, now I'm coming out of it with the guys.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's a lot of stuff. Right.
Whereas the rest of my list is like happening from Deep Strike right now. I need that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
If it's not enhancing the Blitzkrieg or it's giving me a second round of it or something like that, I'm just not interested in it.
It's not really fitting into how the list works. Yeah.
So I consider
that's more the second play with the Land Raider, but like you said,
then I need a Land
that's not
Raider.
really.
I don't really
You're
want to
not
do
doing
that. And I considered Terminators just for something tough and durable to stand on objective.
They're just
They're
not.
just not there. They're too many points, and they just
That's all they are is tough, right? I mean, like,
they're not going to shoot.
they can kind of punch a little bit. They got storm bolters. They can
I
do.
mean,
a
they
little
don't. Yeah, they don't do enough work, right?
Mhm.
Like, you just don't do enough work. You had to put some kind of character in there. Even then, it's going to questionable their output in terms of damage and shooting or
500
fighting.
points deep. You're going. What am I getting out of this?
And you're like, I only move 5. Please come
Yeah.
over here and let me get you.
And they're not going to go anywhere and get anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're not advancing and charging, so like it's not help.
there was something I played around with. The closest contender that I came up with was Hellblasters with a character that had the ignore modifiers enhancement. That's a close second, and I still may try that at some point. But it's
a heavy blitz. The big, I mean, and again, your list, stupid, this is Flame Storm, solving all my marine problems, is the biggest problem with Hellblasters is, if you run into something that's minus damage, right? So you just have a relic for free that says, hey, I ignore modifiers, which is huge. So their 2 damage is meaningful. You can now get full +1 to wound. So if you're like strength 8, you lost the old O's, so you're like,
Strength
hey,
9.
strength 8, I'm only good into certain profiles. Now you're strength 9, and you have potential for +1 to wound. It becomes this whole big thing, right? Like, there's nothing worse than guys jumping out and blasting you, and now you have to kill them, and then they shooting you back, and then just being a pain. That's an expensive unit to just die like that, but Hellblasters, I have a place in my heart for those guys.
I'm with you. So that was a close second. I just don't feel like it's got it for what I need. I need something that can kind of sit on the table, score me some primaries, do some secondaries, and I don't really care about them. Be mobile enough to threaten things that I want them to on turn 3 and 4, and be a low-key enough threat that they'll be on the table at the end of the game. They're not the most threatening thing on the table, but
Yeah, they're not my priority.
no, especially after the turn 2 drop, it's I got to get the
Once
Inceptors
you,
out of my backfield. I got to deal with those Vanguard vets.
You got it violated by all those other units. They're like top of mind, right? Like, you don't have time to like worry about the little chaff in the back, unless you're just dead, right? Like, you have nothing that can be back there.
There's a viable alternative to all of this, though, and I say viable with an asterisk and a question mark. Desolators.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
Blast from the past. 200 points though. Okay. Tell me about Desolators.
With the
And only 5-man units.
and I got to put a character with them.
And you got to put a character with them.
But ignore modifiers.
Sorry.
Now they're hitting on 2s. I'm saying
Because they're just sitting behind a wall hitting on 2s.
they can,
I mean, they're not getting out of a transport hitting on 2s.
No.
But yeah.
but it's continual pressure on objectives. It's that unit standing back there. You do away with it.
I mean, a lot of the indirect has kind of gone away in terms of the armies and what it does. Like, they've been priced out of the market for the most part. Like,
am I expecting them to rule the world? Absolutely not. Could they maybe step out and still shoot super cracks at people? Yeah.
+1 to wound, again, solving their problems against big things. God damn.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to always pop that strap, but like, still, like, you just don't have CP to just constantly get +1.
The problem with Marine shooting is it can't wound a lot of the times when you need it to. And that's true of most of the stuff in 10th edition. Firestorm directly addresses both of those, but doesn't give you any movement shenanigans. So you sacrifice play for the most important phase of the game for the second most important phase of the game.
Yeah. You want to move, or do you want to take wounds? You're like, take some wounds. I'll give you all the wounds you can handle.
So I think I want to try out the Assault Intercessors first.
I like that tech, though. Dang, there's a lot of good choices there. It's not like it was just like an easy choice.
There's no clear cut, like, that's what I need.
Yeah. Oh, we have a part 3, baby. And we still got Nick's list to work on. So, like,
Yeah. I'm brewing on that.
So let me give you one more. What do we know? We save them all for next time, but like I'll give you this one, and then we could talk real quickly about Nick's next project, and then we may have to get some updates on this 2.0 because I'm curious to see. I might have to do some testing on my own because that sounds freaking dirty.
It's
like, sheesh.
Now, I will say, you have to be cool with your opponent getting the feel bads like that.
We gotta do the dance, baby. Okay, it's about to happen. Let's just keep our mojo up.
Even my Eldar guy who was like, "Man, I had a great turn 1. I had a great turn 2. My turn 2 happened," and he went, "What? Why did it all die?"
I could see that. Nobody likes not having saves on Immortals and then just like rolling and picking up all the guys, regardless of all my defensive buffs. Okay, so my last one that I learned, Mark Hurdle. I thank him for this because he didn't get me, but he like did it to me, and I'm like, that's not how that works. And he like we talked through it, and I'm like, that's absolutely how it works. That's fantastic. So I was like, thanks. I put that in the old brain noggin. I'm like, that's a good one. So he overwatched me with the unit of aggressors. He was playing Gladius, same aggressors I had, right? So I know all the weaknesses of that unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he was far away from me, and I was like, well, I'm going to get 2 up saves. I think I ended up having cover, so it didn't matter. But like, you know, he was going to get the extra AP, and I'm like, well, there's other units closer, you know, so it's not going to get the extra AP. And he was like, well, it's Overwatch, and I didn't catch the distinction. He's like, eligible targets, and I'm like, yeah, eligible targets. He's like, well, when you Overwatch, there's only one eligible target.
Valid.
It's the one you're overwatching, right? Like you only are shooting that one, right? So now doesn't matter who's closer. You're getting the extra AP from the aggressors on the one guy. So I was like, very specific, you know, for my army or for aggressors, whatever. But I was like, oh, you're right. Awesome. So I showed him the Calgar thing and he showed me the aggressor thing. So we were like high-fiving each other. It was a good game. So always can learn, right? Be a student of the game as you play. Never be too afraid to realize, hey, I didn't get it right, and I can learn something else because that was a good one. I'm going to use that too. I'm like, you're right. I'm about to full power somebody right now. All right, so Nick, close us up, man. Like, let us know what is this new Marine list? You're looking at Tyranids, moving over Tyranid tech to Marines. I know you use some White Scars. You're the White Scar King back in the day.
So I started playing around with some White Scar stuff. I'm not sure where I've landed on that exactly yet. The chaplain with the jump pack with the assault intercessors of jump packs, like that's in the list, I think, to start with. I haven't got a lot of like games under my belt in a long time with Marines, so a lot of it's going to be kind of some of the stuff you usually see, the Eradicator or the Aggressor Squad, just because in White Scars you can advance the charge. Also makes them a little faster, a little scarier. It's mostly all just dudes, like no vehicles to speak of, really. But like we were talking about earlier with the Outriders, like my main tech with the Tyranid stuff was a Tokyo drift into you, turn 1, turn sideways, stretch out, touch, you know, both table edges and go. So you're just stuck over there now. Like I don't need to necessarily charge you, but it gives me the extra movement.
Yeah, Marines you could potentially afford to charge them, right? Because they're not going to just fall over dead like Tyranids necessarily. But
so kind of where my brain's at right now. I've been moving stuff around, and like I said, this will all change too when I get some games in. There's some like RTs coming up and some smaller tournaments that I'm going to start playing Marines out and just kind of getting a feel for it.
Yeah,
because like in my brain it works like a certain way, but like I know that's going to be different when Shinzo hit the table, right?
Yeah.
Like I was looking at these guys, and then I'm also looking at some Dark Angel stuff. Like my brain started like, I really want to paint the lion. Like that model's so cool, and like you never see him on the table.
Super cool.
But like, he's not bad. He's really actually pretty good. Like he's got a 4 damage sword that is lethal. Like he's got some cool tech. Right? I was like, any deep strikes innately. Like part of my main thing with the Tyranids was I had a unit of warriors that I would just rapid ingress every game if I remember to do it. Because a couple times I forgot to do it. But ananyway, I would rapid ingress.
That's the rapid ingress motto. You just like tattoo it to your forehead because you could forget.
Some of my opponent would start shooting at me and be like, halfway through the shooting round, it's like, I knew I forgot something. I have warriors off the table. But
what was the unit we were talking about before? Like this is where the list started, right? Like this is the unit or the thing that I really want in the list. I'll kind of build around it, but this is the one thing that's kind of like floating my boat to start the thought process.
For me, it was the assault intercessors with jump packs and the chaplain.
That was your unit. So this was not inspired by Mac over there with his shenanigans. This was your
No,
own.
like I said, our COVID brains must have synced up because the Outriders and the Assault Intercessors are I'm like, yeah.
It's the
Big
new
Tech
cool.
is deep.
Yeah, it's that new COVID remix. It does that.
There's some very
It's
confused
amazing. You heard it
laymen
here
out there
first.
somewhere being like, why am I thinking about guys
Everyone
who
out of the world is like, they don't even play Warhammer. They're like, jump pack Marine guys. What? Well, I don't know why I'm thinking these.
just a chainsaw to a stick. I don't know why that's sticking out in my head, but I
thought of that. This cracks me out for some reason.
Yeah, truly, that was totally independent. Like, Dick and I hadn't talked about that at all.
That's so funny. Y'all both came to the same conclusion for different reasons, but different army lists altogether.
So I want to get some of those guys on the table and see what they do. Some of the other stuff I was looking at too is like Samael and the Dark Angels. Like, he has a special rule that if he's in combat with you and you're not a vehicle or a monster, you have to take a desperate breakout attack to fall back, as if you were battle shocked.
Ooh, on a 3 you die.
On a 3. If you actually are battle shocked, it's on a 4.
Whoa.
So, and he can lead Outriders. So you take him and 6 Outriders and throw in an ATV if you really want to touch everybody in their army. Turn 1, advance and charge, touch everybody.
Whoa.
And go,
You got
all right, so it's your turn 1. Do you want to fall back?
You got some like strong like World Eaters vibe going on there. You're like, don't fall back. You can't fall back. With this one you can, but like it's risky. You could just like use that Bane Blade or whatever.
I've been trying to like think of like other ways I can force battle shots and stuff. I'm like, all right, how can I get other people battle shocked so they really don't want to fall back? And like some people just like they don't want to be in combat with you. Like, we're just gonna stand here the whole game and stare at each other. Like, I'm not gonna punch you to death. You're not gonna punch me to death. I'd rather be over there shooting stuff.
Dude, if you put an ATV with 6 Outriders in there, I'm like, I don't want to throw away Samuel on the first turn. But like, that's a lot of beef that you got to chew through. That's a lot of wounds. Like, that's not a. Apparently, I can't kill Gene Stealers, so if like all that random touch my Land Raider, it'd be there for days. So,
well, the other thing with the White Scars too is like you can fall back and charge. So you know,
I know you're not stuck there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You're like, haha,
so,
I do it again.
Touch the thing I actually want to touch, like to stop you from falling back. Like,
if you don't get them, they're gonna come back and get you again.
I can go even farther into your lines.
Ooh, it's pretty spicy. How much is that whole combo if you put the full thing in it?
Let's see. Samael is 130 by himself.
So 2 Outriders to that's 160. So you're at 290. Maybe you add the 75 points or whatever the ATV is.
He's 70 points.
70.
If you wanted to throw an ATV
290, maybe 360. That's a pretty big package. But like also that's a big headache when it's like I just need. You don't have to do it turn 1, but like if you need to do it, you just like. Psh. The big trick is that's a big footprint. Like you can't go through walls, so you're susceptible to the whole. I get move blocked myself, or I can't. Like I spend my 18-inch moving just like maneuvering around the terrain. I think some of the terrain we play in, you have a little bit more. Yeah, you have more ruins. That I mean, there's some of the crates and stuff, but like, yeah, it's interesting. Problem to like manage because you have a big problem for them if it all pops off. You're in trouble now, but you also could be like when you guard will screw you.
Yeah,
Tyranids are like, thanks. 360 points.
Like you just lose whole units of dudes too. Like if you got like little Eldar or guard, like little 1 wound guys, I just go in there, I kill half the unit and touch the other half and go, would you like to fall back?
Now, does it make their weapons assault or just they can advance the charge so they wouldn't be able to shoot?
Charge. It doesn't make the guns assault.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like even with aggressors, you talked about them. Like I can put them in assault doctrine, but then I'd lose their shooting, and it hurts so much. You always want double duty out of those guys. They used to have the assault weapon. Now
there is a detachment that gives assault weapons.
Oh, here we go. The underplayed, unbeknownst. Now everyone's going to want to know. Freaking assault. Flamestorm, doing all the things, solving all the problems.
There's also a CP strat in the that gives everybody assault weapons.
Oh, that's
as White Scars.
Your doctrines? Oh, okay, so yes, there is a way to get them if you need to.
It's just I'm burning strats, but
is it a battle tactic?
It is, yeah. You know how many captains you can attach to Outriders? Big old goose egg.
Yeah, they took away the bike captain. Oh, I have so many converted bike captains.
They took away the con on the bike.
They need to bring back bike captains.
White Scars.
They need to get jump pack librarians again. We need a Gravis lieutenant. I maintain we need more lieutenants.
A Gravis Lieutenant would be
A Gravis
you have the
Lieutenant would actually
biologists,
be
right?
really good. If it does the same thing the other ones do, fall back and charge and shoot.
Fall back and shoot.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm in.
I kind of already have that built in, but yeah, Flamestorm really wants that, right? Because
that.
you can't fall back. That's the big trap, right? You're like, they can't fall back, just touch them all. You're like, well, yeah.
If they did that, I would reconsider aggressors. I said reconsider.
Yeah, I think they lost the luster without the movement, right? Like you just go so fast.
Now that I can just go, I want to go right here, right now, and shoot 11d6.
And you just point at one thing, and it's dead. It's the aggressor problem.
I don't know if I go back to 66.
You better screen, or I'm going to get you. Like there's nothing other way you can stop it. The damage is coming.
Yeah.
Like
also, or I'll just rapid ingress and then advance, and still shoot with 12. Which I did twice in the tournament, and it was backbreaking. It's such a weird, like, low-key mental thing to your opponents, because they go, how fast do these Eradicators move? 5. But can they advance and shoot? Whole army can advance and shoot.
No matter how many times you tell me that, I swear, Mac, no matter how many times you tell me that. Why is that? Because we had Land Raiders when we were testing the earlier versions. You're like, oh, it's back there, 12-inch flamers? Okay, I'm good over here. You're like, I'm getting flamed on my deployment zone. Why? You're like, I advanced. You're like, why do you get to shoot when you advance? I'm Flamestorm. You're like, God dang it. I know that. I knew that. Every time. It happens every time. I swear I hate asking that question more than you hate receiving it, because I know better and I'd still do it. So I can only imagine your opponents just be like scratching their head like, what the hell is happening right now?
At this point, I'm fine with it, because I've been asked so many times, why can you do that? What's going on there? Well, because it does.
I concoct a whole story before the game starts, so that when they ask it, then they'll realize that I already told them, and then I'll make a game out of it. So I feel like I could have fun with that and just start it off with that. Like, all right, now before we get started, I'm just gonna say this out here now. Don't worry, if you have any questions, we can talk about it in the game, and then be like, my guys can advance and shoot. That's just a thing. That's my special power. I could always advance and shoot. So if I'm running around advancing and shooting, you know why. And then you say that. And no matter what, they're going to ask. And then they're going to like, yeah, we talked about this. And they're like, shoot, you're right. We did talk about this. And then they're like, they're going to think twice about asking again. And they're going to ask again. And then you're like, now they're asking silly questions. And you're just like happy to answer.
So
as you laugh.
I feel good overall about the Lizard Drop. It's brutally effective. I mean,
the stories you were telling, and I have some pretty good burst damage when I decide to apply it. There's certain things that you're just like, these are hard targets no matter what it is. And then you're like, I solved the hard targets on those, no problem.
It was nonchalant. It was like, yeah, it was easy. What's the big deal?
1,200 points of custodes in one drop. You're like, I did not hear the 3 bigs and a little baby knight. Like, that's a serious statement. I just like blew through it all.
Like it was, he went forward, and I was like, well, I'm going to put it out there, and it's either going to work or it's not. And I'm fairly confident it's going to work.
Yeah, and it's like that's not like I just rolled out of my brain and he didn't make any saves kind of story. That's just the math of the damage. I'm like, you think through it all, you're like, yeah, I can see that happening. Like,
and I was able to tease out the rotate with the Eradicators. So I did the Vanguard vets first and went, these are mortals, you can't stop them. He's like, oh yeah, you're right, I can't stop them. Okay, yeah, go ahead, do it. And then Crusader went away. And I was like, now I'm gonna do the Eradicators. I reroll hits, wounds, and damage. And he was like, ooh, I gotta stop that. So he popped rotate on, and I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so it's dead anyway. Take 8 saves. You made 4. You absolutely did. Here's damage. Reroll. Here's damage. Okay, you're dead. And now the Inceptor shoots that one. And these are 3 apiece.
+1 to wounds. You went up Force Twin Linked with all the hits. Because you get full rerolls on the Eradicators because it's a vehicle. Flamers don't care. So you're oathing all the way over here. Like, that's a hard choice for your opponent to like, where do you want to rotate? Because it's bad all the way around.
Yeah, because I oathed that. And I was like, that's my oath the moment target, the Canis Rex. And he was like, okay. Well, obviously he's going to think, well, I'm just going to rotate on that one. So then you shoot the Eradicators to the other one. He goes, I don't know, man. I got to stop that.
Now, did you spent the +1 to wound there? Or did you...
the +1 to wound to the Inceptors. Yeah.
So you were just rolling for 5s against the other one?
Yeah.
Because it's strength 10?
Yeah, but lethals.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I rolled
it's a choice
I ended up getting 7 out of 8 with one of them flipped. I rolled 2 6s, a third 6, and I rolled 2 5s, and then I flipped one to a 6. So I ended up getting 7 wounds on them. It was enough. The lethals flipped that math on that unit so quickly. Even the guy's 2 damage pistol got involved. It lethal wounded.
I always count on that guy wounding and exploding when I do my aggressor drop. I'm like, this guy's going to do extra too. I re-roll for the 5. I always do.
he did it. So
That's great, man. Well, I'm going to have to really be serious about this list and see if I want to take that to New York. That's so good, man. That's so good. That's a lot of painting I got to do to get that list Ultramarine shape. I have the one green guy leading all the blue guys because that's how I roll. Ultramarines in disguise. It's just Vulcan came along. He got in the wrong store, maybe.
So anyway, guys, that's enough for the COVID Kings episode 4.
Yeah.
We're
Well, thanks for listening. I mean, sharing the excitement of the freaking lizard drop too. Like, dude, I'm excited. I'm gonna get excited about these types of things, especially when it's not my Marine list and it's like somebody else's. But like, this is pretty exciting. I'm like, I have to convert at least for a game or two to see how I like it because it's so brutal. There's so many tools in there.
it's
It hits so hard.
Kill everything.
your turn 2
And fast, too.
Like your command phase in turn 2 always was like 10 to 15 minutes of me just staring at the board going, okay, I got a plan. And then you're like, oath here, do this, do that, do this. Okay, now let's go. It's very like I was putting out tokens and I was like planning my movement and like putting dice down everywhere. Like it looks like a hot mess. And then it all makes sense. So like you have to do it very like you have to be methodical with it, I guess is the way to say it.
Yeah, methodical. Yeah, because you don't have a lot of pieces.
No.
That's a big weakness of the list.
No.
I mean, you've added some new pieces to it, so I think that gives you a little bit better fix to the version 1.0.
I don't think the Dreadnought and the Land Raider did not add to it. They only subtracted. Honestly.
Yeah. Which is scary. You're like, Land Raider doesn't bring value to my list. You're like,
Yeah.
such a
I'm
good
looking at
unit.
it from the Tyranid
Tyranid guy,
perspective,
you're like, he's just glad he doesn't have a Land Raider. I'm so much better for it.
Yeah.
Also, like looking at my list and going like, man, you know what I would give for something with a Land Raider stats? Come on.
He's taking it
I
out.
know.
No good.
I know. And it was about halfway through the second day that I realized that. And I even said that to my opponents. I was like, afterwards, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna keep the Land Raider or the Brutalis. They were like, what are you talking about? Land Raiders are great. I was like, what did it do this game? It sat on an objective for 2 turns. So I'm like, oh yeah.
That's how you win
It's like
games,
that.
scoring points. But
Why am I spending 260 points to go stand on an objective for 2 turns? Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, get out of here.
I mean, conversely though, that is a point that like I don't want to go try to take.
yeah, I can't go.
Right.
over
But it
there.
wasn't even
Like,
that.
I
It was there's nothing to threaten it. Like it could have been.
I mean, if you're killing everything else in the army, then it doesn't matter.
The
right?
whole story is you kill everything.
Yeah.
So like, what are you talking about?
that could be a unit of.
But you're
scouts
just
in the
saying I
open
trade
going,
that for
"Woo."
killing more stuff, right? Like you're just trading that for more killing stuff.
I'm trading
different
it
killing
for a second wave / the ability to come back in the second half if I have to.
Yeah, the backup plan.
And prevent you from getting secondaries. The infiltrators.
And the screening to stop the scoring. The
Yeah,
easy scoring.
that's huge. That's huge.
What did you draw? Yeah, you're not getting in. You're not getting investigate. I promise. You'll get 2. That's it. Back there.
Yeah. I'm going to do some studying, see if I can't make this list happen. The problem we have here, at least in my local area, because now Mac is going to be playing this, and we are all going to be forced to deal with it, whether it becomes prevalent everywhere else or not. Like, this is going to be a menace for me to have to work out, because unless I just want to lose constantly freaking Firestorm and have him waving his, I'm the better Marine player than me around. So I have to just do work on it. So I'll have to adapt naturally, because, adapt or survive, right? We have to.
That's it. Our local meta will figure out how to beat it.
Though, yeah, like that story about knights, like warms my cockles. I don't want to let knights roll around for free. So you kill 3 bigs and a little.
Yeah.
Ooh, Colin Cockles, you better put those knights away.
It was brutal. It broke his spirit pretty
Can't
quick.
imagine.
Like
I could imagine. I can't imagine like
75% of his army.
You get like 1,600
the
points.
Crusader
Like,
popped and he was like, "Oh, that sucks." Okay, anyway. And then the Lancer dropped and he went, "Oh." And then Canis Rex died, and that was just he was ready to go home.
Yeah, I can imagine.
wow.
And that was like
That'd break
minute
your heart.
25 into the round, minute 30 maybe. Like that game was 35 minutes ish or so.
Yeah, there was a lot of times where we were all like in our second round, and Mac walks up the table like, "How's it going over here,
Dude,
Like, are you done, man?"
I don't have those types of games. I can't imagine people being able to walk around.
I mean,
Well, maybe now you can play the Hot Lizard drop.
I'm gonna, have
So extra time on your hands.
I have to do that. Go dig out Vulcan and be like, it's time to dust this off.
Give you some time to go buy some shoes.
Oh, I know. So like, one of the stories of the weekend was like I've had a lot of back problems, right? So I had back surgery, so I'm like my back is all better now. So I'm like I'm ready to go to this tournament, and we were rolling out the door. There was a snafu with an accident outside of my neighborhood traffic. It's all snarled up. So we're kind of waiting on my wife to get home so I can leave my 6-year-old and leave for the trip with the guys. And so we're all kind of carpooled up, car we're like Congo lined up at the top waiting to leave, and so like everyone's getting their stuff. But somehow in all this waiting, because we're not like exactly in a hurry, I left my shoes in the room, right? Like I packed all my socks, I had some sandals on, because we're going to be in the car, and I was like, I had the shoes, I was just going to grab them, stuff them in the truck with the bags. Somehow they got left. And here I am standing on my feet. My Achilles got blown out playing basketball. So I don't have like great like support for standing long periods. And I'm a big guy, so it can wear on me. And I'm like, I need some good shoes support. I carry around the little mats. I forgot the mat. I forgot the shoes. And I'm just like, I get there and I'm like, shoot, I forgot my shoes. I got sandals to wear all day. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. And I definitely it was working me over the day 2 and then day 3. I was like, man, these feet are tired. They hurt.
It sure would be nice to have some shoes about
it.
Now.
Would be. I got home and there the shoes were just sitting there. I was like, old man in it right here for getting shoes. How bad does it get?
I mean, you made it through though. You made it through.
We won. I mean, yeah. Who knows how could I have done if I had shoes?
Now those are your lucky sandals. You got to wear that to every tournament.
Oh no! I mean, they don't hurt. They're good. They're comfortable. Like I had some Birkenstocks. I was, I couldn't run laps with them, but I could. My feet weren't like hating it too bad, but yeah, that was a long weekend for standing up.
Well, guys, thank you for listening.
All right, so thanks for listening. Yeah, this has been a great episode.
We're going to come up with a good project name for White Scars. I don't know.
Yeah, we have to think of something clever.
Something throat singy or
lizard drop.
I don't know.
It's gonna be the Mongolian pickle.
Mongolian pickle. There it is.
Is that the list? You've already made it?
Project Mongolian
I
pickle.
mean, I'm looking at it on my other screen right here.
That's very suggestive. That might not pass the filters on some people's list turn in shit. I don't even know if they check.
So next episode we'll have an update on how the Mark II lizard drop does. We'll try to get some games in. We'll have the first version of the Mongolian pickle, and we'll have some other games going. We'll have some more, what we learned, because we had about 1,000 of them this time.
1,000, yeah. I was like, I don't think we learned anything this week. And as we were playing this episode or recording it, I'm like, oh shoot, I learned all sorts of things since the last time we talked.
Hopefully, we'll be over COVID, so we'll sound better and be less. There were a lot of mutes in the microphones, if you guys can't tell. We're coughing and dying. So we appreciate you guys listening. Please like and subscribe, comment, smash that like button, and like that smash button. So, anyways, thanks guys. Thanks for listening.
See ya.